Okay, so what I'm about to show you guys now is how to take your full body measurement accurately, because you need to know how to measure before you apply on your fabric. So this is me here now illustrating how to take your measurements. For my shoulder, I prefer taking it from the back, but you can still stand at the front to take your shoulder. But me, I prefer standing at the back to take my shoulder measurements. So your shoulder for ladies, it is going to sit at the ankle bone. That is what I'm trying to explain here now. It is going to sit at the ankle bone. But for men, it normally goes down from the shoulder bone a little bit. See me, I say ankle bone. Shoulder bone, sorry. So from the shoulder bone, that is where it should stop. That point there, which you are seeing my hand pointing towards. So that is what you need to understand about measurement for female. So you can see where my hand is stopping now. That point there is where you are going to, your shoulder is going to stop. Exactly the ends of your shoulder. That very end of your shoulder. That is where your shoulder is going to stop for ladies. Then the next step you're going to take again is to get your bust measurement. You're going to get your bust measurement. You can see what I'm doing. Make sure it is sitting round your bust, and make sure your tape which you are holding the edge of your tape. Don't put your hand inside of your tape. You are holding the edge of your tape so that your hand is not also creating space for your bust. And don't tighten your tape, just make it relax on the bust there. Don't tighten it. Then you go over to your waist and get your waist measurement. So your waist measurement, we have two kinds of waist measurement. We call it under bust measurement. So this one is round under bust measurement, which is the part after your under your breast. That part there is under bust. That is what we know as under bust. So that part is also very important for you to know. It is under bust, but for this case I'm not making cloth that will be using breast tube because I am making for beginners. So I'm not going to explain on how to use breast tube. What I'm going to explain is just a simple way of getting your top or your gown as my measurement continues. So what you need to know now is to get your half length. And where to get your half length? Your half length is going to fall from your under bust. Remember I showed you under bust. I will still place my tape now for you to see what I mean by the under bust. Under bust fall under your breast. That deep spot which you are seeing there is your under bust. So you are going to count like 3 to 4 inches most. 3 inches, 3.5, 4 inches. That is where you are going to get your half length. So your half length is like 1 inch above your navel point, which is your belly button. 1 inch above your belly button, that is your half length. So when it comes to your half length, you can see where I'm placing. So that is my half length. What we mean by half length in tailoring terms is the upper part of what you are making. It is called half length. It stops at that 1 inch above your belly button, which is your navel, and you call it full length. So anything that goes from that your waist down, we call it full length. So if you are making short or long gown that is going to stop at your nail, call it full length. So there now is your half length line. So we call the half length cut for your measurements. This is very important for you to take note of this measurement. So that is your half length cut, which I'm trying to explain for you to understand. So from there now you can get your full length or any way you want your dress or your gown to be. So it depends on what you are making. So what you are going to get next now is to get your hip measurement. And your hip measurement, so I told that to turn for you to see what I'm saying. It should pass across your butt, across your backside, your backy, your back area. is going to cross across your backside, your butt. That is where you are going to measure your hip from. Please, it should not fall below your butt. You will lose measurement. So you can, for now I want to show you my sleeve measurement. So you get your sleeve, your shoulder rather. After getting your shoulder, where your hand stops, that is where you are going to continue your sleeve measurement. This one now is for sleeve measurement. So where your tape stops for your shoulder, make sure you write it down, then continue your sleeve measurement from there, either long, short, 3/4, as you wish for your sleeve to be. That is what you are going to get. But make sure where your shoulder measurement stops, that is where your sleeve measurement is going to start from and fall towards. So you should make sure you put to practice what I'm showing you right now. Make sure you practice with your friend or your sister to understand how to take body measurements. You will see what I'm trying to show you now is the depth of your neck. You have to ask the person, or you want to make for yourself, you need to know how deep you want your neck to be. That one too is very important for you to understand how to get the deepness of your neck. Then you go ahead to get your round sleeve. This one is a round sleeve, either that short part, if you want it to be at that the muzzle point, or you want it to be at the wrist point. You are going to put your tape like this. Make sure your hand is not taking much space for your measurement. Make sure you are holding the tip of your tape like that. You can see what I'm doing. So I'm holding the tip of my tape, so my hand is not going inside the way I'm illustrating. So it's not going inside like this, so you don't get confused or go and sew an extra large round sleeve. There's still an adjustment. You can still adjust it if it is extra large, but that is the proper way to take your measurement I'm trying to show you now. So sleeves, it depends on how wide your clients want it to be, or how wide you want your sleeve to be, or how tight you want it to be. So it depends on what you are making. So it is very important you take the accurate measurements. So this point now is for skirts. You get your tummy measurement. No, skirts normally comes high. It starts from your belly. So this is your waist measurement. You can call it your tummy measurements, but I always write waist when getting my measurements. So skirt is known for 3 different measurements: your waist, your length, and your hip. You need only these 3 measurements for your skirt, whether short or long. After getting your waist, you get your hip, then you get your length for your skirt. This is very easy. This one is measurement for skirt. So make sure you understand how to go about this. Remember, I took hip measurement for long gown or short gown. So as the class improves, I will show you how to manipulate and place all of this together. So make sure it is sitting on your butt. Make sure your tape is sitting. Make sure you look at the back side of your client and look at the front to cross check that your tape is sitting very well. And make sure you take it slow like that. Make sure you just wiggle it, wiggle. Make sure you wiggle it until it gets down, for you to understand that is your hip measurement. So just wiggle it. So thank you very much, and put to practice.